Broadcasting live, this is the Handicappers Report, brought to you by the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning. Welcome to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning, Saturday, February 19th. Always like to, at the top of the show, thank our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship of this program. Some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB during the championship meet. Appreciate their support. And championship meet, the exclamation point comes a little bit later on with the Florida Derby, and we had some emails going back and forth from OTB to Gulfstream this week, setting up our trip down there, getting back on the road after a couple of years on the sidelines for our road trips, but we're looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing our colleague in person, Brian Nadeau, but this morning, once again, via Zoom. Brian, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Seth. I was happy to see on those chain of emails that you guys will be coming back down, because it's been 2-3 years, I think, since
couple anyway.
Yeah, got the band together down here, so a lot to look forward to, obviously, and that is 6 weeks from today, I think. Fountain of Youth, a huge day, both here at Gulfstream and at Santa Anita, our sister track, with the big cap that day. March 5th, circle it on your calendars. It's going to be absolutely epic. I believe we have 9 stakes, including the Fountain of Youth. Santa Anita's got the big cap. So we're going to have some stuff going on between the two tracks. But then, obviously, 4 weeks after that, the Florida Derby. So, yeah, that'll be cool, Seth. Good to have everybody back down here, and really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Get down a little warm weather and maybe an extra day on the beach maybe. And so I'm looking forward to that, certainly. Speaking of which, what's your weather look like down there today?
Yeah, it should be okay early. There is a small chance of rain later in the card, but, a lot of times that's every day in South Florida, and it tends to push itself out a little bit. So hopefully we'll be fine. We were fast and firm yesterday, and we'll do that. We'll be that way to start today as well. And like I said, it is a small chance of rain. I don't really anticipate it having much of an impact.
Speaking of sister tracks, one of your other sister tracks with First Racing is Laurel. They have a big day today. General George, Barbara Fritchie, the Campbell, a couple other stakes for the 3-year-olds. That Laurel program in the wintertime, a lot of fun. It's like every 3 weeks there's a nice big stakes Saturday up there. Top of the hour at 10 o'clock, Racing Across America. Dave Rodman will join me live from Laurel to go over some of those stakes. But the big stakes today, your stomping grounds last winter down at the fairgrounds. And top of the hour, Dave Rodman will join me live, but yesterday I taped a couple interviews. Had Joe Christofek, the paddock commentator, and your colleague last year, your friend Joe Christofek from the Fairgrounds. We'll go over the stakes with Joe, but also have Ken McPeak, who has Smile Happy coming back in his 3-year-old debut in the Risen Star. And it was a nice interview with Ken McPeak. He talked not only about Smile Happy, but we hit on Rattle and Roll, Dash Attack, and Tiz the Bomb, who I don't know whether it's breaking news, but he certainly gave us some news about where Tiz the Bomb may be headed come springtime and summer. That was kind of interesting. So again, top of the hour, you can check that out. And Brian, I'll ask you some thoughts on the Risen Star this afternoon. It came up, the whole card at Fairgrounds is really good. The maiden races, there's a sibling to Matoli and Hot Rod Charlie earlier on the card. Yaupan sibling is in that race as well. But in the Risen Star, 1 1/8 for the 3-year-olds, really salty field. Pioneer of Medina is interesting to me off the trip last time over to the Fairgrounds for Todd Pletcher, where the horse won. Zandon on the comeback as a 3-year-old off the nice second place finish behind Mo Donegal in the Remsen last year. Of course, Smile Happy, Epicenter off the second, close-up second in the Lecomte the last time. Boy, this is a really nice field. You have some ideas in the Risen Star?
Yeah, it's really good, Seth. A couple ideas. To me, if Smile Happy is good, is ready, he's going to win. I think he's really good. To me, he's the best. I guess Messier, but I don't want to get into that. But to me, Smile Happy's as good as any 3-year-old. Well, it was as good as any 2-year-old, and now, you think a bigger, tougher, stronger version at 3 makes him pretty tough to beat. I'm not really sold on the locals. And so Zandon, I would think for Chad, is going to run well too. I think Smile Happy also, to me, gets the best of it with the elongated stretch. It's tough to win at 9 furlongs off the rip. I understand that, but 50 points are on the line too. So I would think Smile Happy, and I'm not telling you something you don't know, Seth. That would be 8-7 to the hoop for me, and I would probably fade a lot of the locals.
Yeah, as I say, I had it the same way. I put Zandon on top over Smile Happy, but I could have gone either way there. But I think Pioneer of Medina is going to be intriguing. On the numbers, probably has to step it up, but I think that's possible.
I'll just say this too, and I don't know if Zandon gets, people maybe nick him a little bit because Mo Donegal didn't, really didn't win the Holy Bull, but I thought Mo Donegal ran really big. Yeah, really big in the Holy Bull. I don't want to say he had no chance, but at that trip off that layoff with the short stretch, Mo Donegal was really up against it. If you go back and watch the race again, he's flying late. I thought he acquitted himself quite nicely. So me personally, I think it flatters Zandon a little bit. And I understand if some people want to nick him a little bit, he's going to be an underlay and all that kind of thing. I get all of that. But, I don't just say, oh, Mo Donegal could only run third as the favorite in the Holy Bull. No, there was a lot more going on there. And I thought he ran very, very well at a less than optimum set of circumstances.
Yeah, I'm right in the same ballpark. I thought that performance was better than the finishing position indicated for Mo Donegal. All right, any other ideas on the card? The Philly race, Dreamlit, and I will tell people to tune in to your colleague Joe Christofek. He gave some nice insight. I put Dreamlit on top, but after listening to Joe, who had talked to Robertino Diodoro, I'm not quite as convinced on that one. I'm totally not convinced on Hidden Connection, who is the morning line favorite. I'm going to be interested to see where the betting public goes there. Awake at Midnight, coming in from Southern California, is maybe a little bit interesting to me. But another intriguing race on a nice card.
Yeah, Hidden Connection. I liked her, and I picked her in the juvenile fillies, and she didn't run. Yeah. And Brett Calhoun, I read some stuff, just said, I don't know why she didn't run, but she didn't run. So I think she's got to prove it a little bit, and now she's wide, and it's her seasonal debut. Wake at Midnight's got the big figure. Well, that was one turn in California. Lacrete is very slow, and to me, if Lacrete wasn't the sister to, Clairiere, nobody would care about her. She's got to really move forward. North County's not a lot different, but she seems to be moving forward for Brendan Off. And Lacrete's moving forward too, don't get me wrong. I thought Dreamlit was interesting, but now you say that. Divine Huntress is pretty interesting. I mean, Eclipse Thoroughbreds buys into good horses. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and they did so after her maiden win at Parks. And listen, I'm sure there was a bunch of palookas behind her at Parks, but boy, she did it the right way last time. You look at how she runs. Jose Ortiz is going to ride. I would think, and Graham Motion's not a guy that's going to ship around the country for the hell of it. I would think Divine Huntress, with that longer stretch at Fairgrounds, she's run a fast figure before. She can wait and sit back and watch it all unfold. To me, she's pretty interesting at what should be, a relatively square price. There are horses mispriced on the morning line throughout the card. Especially a horse like Santon in the Fairgrounds. But I think, she's going to be a decent price, and she's pretty interesting to me, Seth.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk anybody off of Dreamlit necessarily, but listening to Joe later, because as I say, he talked to Robertina Diodoro. I have the horse on top. I'm going to keep the horse on top, but it was an interesting conversation there. As I say, he talked to Robertina Diodoro. Joe also said, and again, I'm not that high on Hidden Connection. He said the Clocker, though, was really high on Hidden Connection. So, again, tune that in a little bit later. And, yeah, Santon had a little buzz out on Twitter, 12-1 on the morning line. But with the Twitter buzz alone, I don't think you're going to get the 12-1 on.
Yeah, he's just a lightly raced Godolphin homebred, just missing the Hollywood Derby. I will say this: Mike Diliberto, the clocker at Fairgrounds, does a phenomenal job, and he makes the line too. And a lot of times, he kind of incorporates how horses are working into his line. He does a really, really good job of veteran. And one of the good guys in racing. So, take note of that. If you see a horse that you say, oh, maybe this is a little weird price on this horse, and then maybe look at the works, because Mike is the guy, the clocker down there, and does a really, really good job. He's working the beat every morning down there.
Good to know. All right, you ready to jump in?
Yeah, 12-pack here at Gulfstream today.
All right, I'll look at Aqueduct a little bit later on. We're going to kick things off. Brian taking a look at Gulfstream, and of course you can catch Brian throughout the day as well on the Gulfstream Park simulcast signal. By the way, you guys do a great job down there, you and Ron, Keisha, and Ashley. Always fun to listen to you guys and hear the comments out in the paddock as the horses are getting ready with a closer look and whatnot. And also interesting to hear you guys talk about all the players in the game. And one of them I had notes and wanted to mention, our friend Roddy Valente. I had last Sunday it was, saw him in the winner's circle with you talk about it all the time, fresh off the claim. It looks like he's having a little fun down there in Florida in the claim box, and he had one Sunday win fresh off the claim.
Yeah, I think Roddy puts in more hours at Gulfstream than I do. Tried to get on the set one day, and we see him every night at Christine Lee's. So Roddy's having a hell of a winter in South Florida and enjoying himself. And you're right, he has been active. And Roddy, as you know, and everybody back home knows, I don't have to tell you this, but Roddy's very, very sharp, very astute with the work he does with his claims. So, always take note of that when you see the silks of Roddy go on. He's been winning races, and he's, teamed up with a few guys down here that are sharp. So, he's been very, very active and will continue to do so. It's great to have him down here too. It's that Roddy well, and a lot of people back home know Roddy well, and he's one of the guys, and he's a character. The game is better for people like Roddy Valente in it.
Yeah, he's a regular here at the Racebook when he's up in this part of the country. But yeah, it was fun last Sunday to see his silks come under the line, and then I pulled up on the computer to watch the winner's circle, and there was Roddy in the winner's circle, so that was fun to see. Always like to root for the locals. All right, let's kick it off. Gulfstream on this Saturday afternoon. Maiden claimers going a mile on the turf. Your thoughts in the opener?
I got to check too. I think Roddy's, he's either in later today. I don't even know what day it is, so it gets a little mixed up down here with the racing. But he's. I might have one tomorrow, but so always take note of that. So early pick 5 time in the noon opener too, Seth. They've been betting this early pick 5 big time. There was well over $500,000 in the pool yesterday. It'll be even bigger today. So just take note of that. It's a great bet. I've got it. This is the one-sheet selections, and of course we'll update these as well. I go 3-5 over the 4. Daniel Sun, S-U-N, goes first time Brendan Walsh. We're first time gelding here as well. Second time blinkers. Kevin Attard didn't come down this winter, so Brendan takes over here. The horse was trying 3 times. They tried to get this horse on the turf at Woodbine. It didn't work out. They all came off, ran on their Tapeta. A Son of Kitten's Joy out of a Stormy Atlantic mare. So there's a big turf number here. Tactical. Paco's here. We'll put him in the game early as a first-time gelding. I think he's a big, big threat in here. Giardani for Jane Sibeli. Javier Castellano's having a very, very strong championship meet, and this one's got proven turf form. Took a drop last time. Didn't really wake up, but the race was wired that day, so it was kind of a funky little race. The flow didn't help him. And then Bluto's Candy, lightly raced, improving, is going to try turf after a real wake-up on the Tapeta second out last time. So let's go 3-5 over the 4 in the opener, Seth.
Love the name Bluto's Candy, by Twirling Candy out of Delta House. You got to love that. And I'll toss a crazy one out there. Stannis for Phil Serpy, who tossed in a complete clunker, so 30-1. But I say it often when I'm handicapping the afternoon. Cairo Prince is a good first out sire. And sometimes horses with win early breeding, they don't live up to it in start 1, start 2, maybe even start 3. And then they change some things up. And this one is changing things up in the second start. Drops in for a tag and moves over to the turf. And you're going to get a big prize. Like I say, it's a crazy idea. I wouldn't put the kids' college fund on it, but maybe interesting to take a little pop on number 6, Stannis.
Yeah, and Phil, I mean, you look at the stats and you say, oh, this guy's 4 for 73 in 2021. Well, one of those races was a win in the Queen's Plate. Phil Serpy knows what he's doing. So I agree, Seth. If you're getting a little crazy in the opener, you could do worse.
Second race at Gulfstream on Saturday afternoon. $8,000 claimers, 7 furlongs is the trip.
Early pick 4 here too. 3-4 over the 1. Beauty Queen getting back to the main track. You look at the races 2 and 3 back. very solid. And she'll be an okay price because I think obviously Pretty Rachel is in here and she's an absolute warrior and win machine. But there's other speed in here as well, and just maybe Beauty Queen can sit just off of it a little bit. Pretty Rachel, one of the most popular horses at the claim box too. All she does is win. She's back in for 8 off the claim for Pedro Garcia from Peter Walder. Everybody she's with, she wins with. No reason to think she can't do it today. Down inside Rain off the claim. Now, Jose D'Angelo does such a good job down here. So I don't know if we can improve off the claim, but IRAD is here, and this one's got a stalking gear too. 3-4 over the 1 in race 2.
Race number 3 is maiden $16,000 claim, maiden claimer, 6.5 furlongs is the distance in race 3.
You know, Seth, I got aggressive here, and I'm going to single Shady Capture in my early pick 5. It's 8-6 over the 4-3. Let's just draw a line through the sloppy race last time. We'll focus on the run 2 back, the good third with a big figure in this group at least. Now we're going to run on dry land with Lasix for the first time too. Paco's here from a perfect outside pressing position. Might even get loose in here. There's not a lot of speed. To me, Shady Capture from gate to right from the opening bell is a huge threat in here. Poseidon's Son, you know, clearly he's the horse to beat, but the barn is 2 for 140 last year and hasn't won a race this year. The drop is huge from 50 to 16, maiden special weights before that. To me, I'm very stubborn, admittedly so. The jockey doesn't have a win yet this year either, or last year, excuse me. I got to make this horse beat me at what's going to be an underlaid price. And then Pork Chop on the MSW drop for Fernando Abreu is in the mix here as well. But I'm going to take it like an aggressive single with Shady Capture, 8-6 over the 4-3.
Race 4, we are down towards the bottom of the conditional claiming level, 6,250 N2Ls going 6.5.
Yeah, and I've always thought, Seth, I understand, you know, facing winners for the first time can be tough on horses, but in these lower levels, I always think coming in off a win is okay, and it's a good thing. And so that's why we go 2-3 over to 7 in here. And Yaguita Queen got it done last time for Victor Barboza and Paco. He's back aboard today. We can be placed anywhere. If he wants to lead, it's there for the taking. If somebody else wants to go, he'll lay just off. I think Yaguita Queen right back at the level she should be is a big player in here. She's a savage off the claim for, I mentioned Jose D'Angelo, just doing great work this winter. He's 28% off the claim. He stays in his lanes. He knows where, you know, he is right now with his barn and where the runners should be, and she's a savage. And he likes winning races, so don't get beat. You know, he claimed for 12.5 off Larry Ravelli. Now she's in for 62.50. Jose puts them where they belong, and he likes to win races. She's a savage, a big player in here. And then Ellie Rees Safton. I'm going to have to listen to Pete say that one. On the cutback with a lot of foundation, second off Antonio Sano. When he reaches her IRAD, they tend to do pretty good together, 24%. She's a player for Imaginary Stables as well. 2-3 over the 7, so.
5th race this afternoon. We are looking at conditional claimers and N3L level. They're on the synthetic at 8.5 furlongs.
And this sneaks in a middle pick 4 as well. It's my long shot play. 3-4 over the 6-5-7. It's chaos. But Uptown Queen, a couple things going on here. So her last 3 races, she has not had any flow help whatsoever. She's a closer. She's a stalker closer in races where people are getting loose. She's been wide. She's been too far behind. Now she goes to Edwin Gonzalez, who rides this Tapeta course as well as anybody on the grounds from the word go, too, or when we put it in this summer. And he's been winning. We swept a late pick 3 on Thursday. He's a really good / underrated rider. He gets aboard Uptown Queen in a race. You're just allowed to think so many different things wherever you want to go. Uptown Queen's a long shot. No Down Days is in the mix for Jeremiah O'Dwyer off the turf form at Laurel. I kind of view this as a class drop. She hasn't proven anything on the Tapeta, but turf form says maybe she can handle it. Kitani certainly in the mix. Number 5, Dan Zatali for Zerpa and Javier's in the mix. Silvanello with IRAD. and Peter Walder. You've got a spread here, Seth. You've got to look for value. I'm doing it with Uptown Queen.
Sixth race, maiden specials. These are maiden special 3-year-olds going 5 on the grass.
Paco, I'm hoping Paco has a day. And I'm going to come back to Nara here for Wesley Ward. 3-1 over the 9-2. The blinkers come off, but she's going to go, right? He's going to go, son of Caravaggio. Didn't really do fire at Woodbine, but that was on their Tapeta in June. He's been rested since. Wesley's potent with these kind. I love the fact that Paco gets aboard because to me that says, hey, you're on a fast horse. We're sending. Come catch us. Set these 5 furlong turf races. I mean, it's like you blink, the race is over. If you open up a couple lengths, it's really tough to run these horses down. Nara, straight to the hoop to me. Obviously, Big Invasion for Christoph and Irad is clearly the horse to beat. They bet him down to 7-5 on debut, and he ran to it a good second. He's going to have to work out a trip from the rail, but he's going to hit really hard. Maya Prince might be a little bit of a price for Trombo, who's, you know, the horses are firing, but he's struggled to win races down here this winter. Second out, I thought this horse ran very well with a no chance trip behind like a loose lone F in there. And then number 2, Forever Ventura for Jonathan Thomas, a big Baba Penta, and the Governor Brereton Jones, a homebred here. We'll see what happens here. Jonathan, 33% first start, so obviously you got to pay attention. But we'll go 3-1-9-2, Seth, in the 6th.
Sounds good. That takes us to the halfway point, so we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll complete the card at Gulfstream. A little bit later on, Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467 and win more with Capital OTB.
I'm Seth Merrow, and as serious horse players, we know that information is critical when placing a bet. With live streaming of more than 30 tracks, race replays, free past performances, and daily picks from professional handicappers, no one gives you more up-to-the-minute information than Capital OTB. Combine that with the best player awards in New York State, and you have everything a serious horse player needs to be successful.
Win more with Capital OTB.
Winning starts here. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrow and Brian Nadeau. We are in the midst of a Saturday Gulfstream card. We'll jump back in with race number 7. Optional claimers, starter allowance, 5.5 on the synthetic.
Rainbow 6 too, Seth, and I believe there's 1.1 million in the gross guarantee. It was $1 million yesterday. It's getting big. It's getting huge. So take note of that. Santa Anita pays out tomorrow too. We'll throw that in there as well if you're at home and firing up the Capital OTB app. But here, I'll single right off the rip. This is my best bet of the day. I think Senior Joven is 7-2 on the morning line. I don't know. It looks more about 8-9 to me. We're off to claim for Larry Ravelli, 15 for 30, if that's even possible. We're 37% on all-weather surfaces, and you look at the Woodbine form with this horse on the all-weather, and it was big. And now Larry reaches for IRAD, so obviously it's go time today. Claim this one for 35 from Marty Drexler, back for 35, so it all adds up to Senior Joven being really tough in here. Indy Lion woke way up on the Tapeta last time. First off to claim on the Tapeta for Rohan Crichton. That angle's about 38% now. Rohan off the claim. He popped yesterday at a short price. Indy Lion's going to have to work out a trip from down there, but he's in the mix like a salt shaker as well. We'll call him the other Ravelli. A lot of speed in here, getting back, cutting back to one turn too off all weather form Tapeta form at Prescott. But Senior Jobin, for me, Seth, best bet of the day. Let's go 7 over the 1-2. Kick off the rainbow.
Kicking off the late pick 5 is race number 8, maiden optional claimers, 7 furlongs the distance.
So here's a stab. I mean, a total dart on the board in a race where I don't like anyone. I don't trust anyone. 11-8, 4-2-7. I think I saw 20-1 on the morning line with 7 Bridges Road. Terry Pompey does a very, very good job with first-time starters. She's 20% from a 15-horse sample. The barn has struggled to get wins at the meet, but the horses have run okay underneath. And I think she's a very, very crafty trainer. The works here, Whisper Ready. We're outside going 7. I like that. It's a pure stab for a barn that does good work. 7 Bridges Road on top, but it's a spread race too. Reddington for Rusty ran very, very well on debut. Now these Florida breds, okay, don't have to run for the tag in this condition. So you see Reddington debuted state bred maiden special weight. Well, don't think he's in for a tag. He doesn't have to run for the 50 as a Florida bred. So take note of that. Awkward pause. Eddie Police is just having a seismic championship meet. Here's Paco again. You better use him. Smoking Bows got proven for him off the claim now for Kelly Breen, who worked earlier in the meet. Istamian for Fausto Gutierrez, trained Latruska, who's going to be schooling today.
Ooh.
If you're watching the feed, she is schooling today in race 2. So if you see someone in the paddock that looks all right, that's a champion, Latruska. We'll see her next Saturday right here racing at Gulfstream Park. So 11-8, 4-2-7 to kick off the late pick 5.
Champion Latruska.
Yes, you said it.
9th at Gulfstream this afternoon, optional claimer, non-winners of 1, 5 furlongs on the grass.
3 over the 6-8 for me. I'm single and hit the wall. She just looks a little better than kind of a modest group in here, and gets back to the turf. They wanted her on turf last time. She's got good turf form here at Gulfstream up in New York. It's Kristoff, it's Irad, it's second off the layup. There's a lot of reason to think hit the wall with a short number or get the job done in here. Zia's Song, second off the long layup for Sappy with blinkers going on, probably will improve off a solid enough comeback on the Tapeta last time. And Cervez has been in raging form. Now going to try the turf, that's a little bit of an unknown, but boy, she's been really good for an extended period of time. But I think hit the whoa is going to be really tough to kick off the late pick 4, 3 over the 6-8.
10th race this afternoon, we're looking at plain vanilla claimers on the synthetic at 1.16 miles.
2-4 over the 5-8. Dr. Shane down inside, tactical speed in a race that doesn't really have a lot of speed. And I think it'll be beneficial to be close, Seth, and Dr. Shane can do that. Does come off a win and drops from 16 to 10, but, you know, Danny Gargan's so high percentage that he does a great job. And I think Dr. Shane right back is going to be a big, big threat in here. On tread, has been in very, very good form for quite a while. Was a good fourth last time. He's going to put blinkers on for Gustavo Delgado, who's having himself a strong, strong championship meet. To his outside, Jeha for Safi, was 9th last time, but it was a close 9th in kind of a funky race where they were all grouped together. Farley and Poco Charlie were in that race. Jeha's tactical too, and I think that helps as well. And then Rocket Joe Copper, the veteran 9-year-old. I had him last time. I'm going to fade him a little bit here, but his only start on the Gulfstream Tapeta was a win, and Paco's here as well. So take note of him. 2-4 over the 5-8, Seth.
Fun race in the 11th. It's stakes action. The Gulfstream Park Sprint, $150,000 up for grabs. 6 furlongs the trip, but it's fun mainly because the 4-year-old debut of the talented Drain the Clock.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. He's never really run that fast, but he's a grade 1 winner, and he likes to win races, and it's Sappy and it's Irad, and he's perfectly drawn. And I think he's the one today. You're going to have to take a short price. I get all of it. It's just 6-5 to the hoop to me. And so now he's 4. You mentioned it. He's training lights out. You see the bullets in the holster there. And Sappy wants to take him to Dubai after this, and he's 4 for 5 at Gulfstream. I just think he's a better horse than these, and I think he'll prove it today. He ran huge last time, going 8-3 in his comeback. Now he's been freshened. Like I said, he's drawn perfectly outside here too, Seth. I think Drain the Clock gets it done in here. Diamond Oops, it's cool to see him come back. But now he's 7. He's off the layoff, and he's at a big tactical disadvantage behind Drain the Clock. So I think he'll run a big race in here. I think he'll probably be left with a little too much to do. So it's a good starting off point for Diamond Oops, but he's going to fall a little short today. From there, you can have who you want. Miles Ahead is a cool veteran, likes to win races. 9 for 17 here at Gulfstream. Gatsby's got to prove it to me, Seth. I know he gave Drain the Clock everything he wanted. Too bad. Drain the Clock was off the layoff that day. Gatsby was outside. Now he's inside. He comes off that huge figure in the Sunshine Sprint. To me, he's got to bounce. He's got to regress. He's up against it. Just 6'5", Seth, in a chalky exactly.
All right, and we'll wrap things up at about 5:45 this evening in race number 12 at Gulfstream. Maiden Claimers, 8 furlongs on the turf.
Just a formful race, 4-9 over the 6'5". Versatile for Jeff Hiles on the drop from the maiden special weights. He ran a pretty good 5th last time. Now he takes the big drop. He's going to add Lasix as well. Outside the Quantum Theory for Christoph. Got to the Tapeta last time. Woke way up. He should be able to handle the turf just fine. Number 5, Ableton for John Kimmel. Comes to Gulfstream. John's brought a select group here this winter. Obviously, turf Tapeta horses. And then Tapit Brio for Lily Kutinez on the return to turf could be a player at a big price. You see the race 2 back. It was pretty good from a bad post.
All right, that puts the Gulfstream card in the can. Don't forget, you can always go to capitalotb.com, pull up the one sheet, nice printable sheet with all the selections on there if you didn't get a chance to write down those. Coming up after this break, we will shift our attention to Aqueduct for Saturday afternoon, so stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian and Seth with you. 12 down at Gulfstream. We'll turn our attention to Aqueduct and, of course, Racing Across America coming up after this show. And Seth's got a lot going on at Fairgrounds with their big Risen Star card. Joe Christopher, Kenny McPeak's going to have the favorite Smile Happy in the Risen Star. So stay tuned for that. But we've got 9 to go at Aqueduct. We'll start it off at 12:50 in the opener. State-bred maiden claimers. These are 3-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs.
Yeah, and frankly, it's not much of a field, so it's one of those where I go for the fresh face. I went 4, 8, 7, and 5. Kiss Me Smile by Daredevil. A little bit of breeding there. I mean, this is the dam's first foal, so there wasn't anything you could find out there. But I thought there was a little bit of breeding. Mike Maker can have them ready. Steady string of workouts. Nothing is tilting towards pointing at this horse through the workouts necessarily. But again, I think it's just, of those that have raced, nobody is getting the blood boiling. So I'll go with the first-time starter, Kiss Me Smile, on top. Flattery's Music is, I believe, the morning line. Yeah, 2-1 morning line favorite. You know, can you really get excited about the Linda Rice runner who hasn't been seen since the debut on July 5th, tried the turf against state-bred maiden specials, ran, an okay fourth with maybe a little bit of a trip. That's one to build off of. These are the type that can come back with an improved effort. But if that was the case, why come back for the $25,000 tag? So as I say, morning line favorite, probably deservedly so in a weak field. But hey, I couldn't get too excited about that one. So I went with the first or over that, and then boom roasted in the third spot. Tried this company last time and ran an okay third for Tom Morley. So I think the horse deserves to be in the conversation again. But as I say, an uninspiring group. So I will go with the fresh face. Race number 1, 4, 8, 7, and 5.
I saw a tweet yesterday that Linda Rice, it was either off the claim or it was just her last 21 runners in general. I believe 1 for 21.
I think it was David Aragona tweeted, yeah.
David, yeah, and 7 of them hadn't even hit the board or something like that. So I mean, it's just a really tricky drop, and you're.
And then she also has had at this meet a lot of claims at Churchill, which seemed early on like, oh, that's clever, going down and against some Churchill horses, and they really have not performed. So, yeah, it's been,
interesting. For a very, very sharp barn, too, I will. So take note of that. Early pick 4 time in the second. It's a 4-year-old and up, 16-2L, 7 furlongs this time.
4, 3, 1, and 5. I'll put Maddie's Marauder on top. 16 tries, only 1 win. This is clearly not a superstar performer, but I thought the Dave Donk barn has been kind of interesting at this meet, and so that attracted me a little bit. The last couple of races, the numbers were pretty good as compared to this bunch, and probably good enough unless one of them steps it up and has kind of a best performance. So I'll put that one on top. Now, Uno, 2-1 on the morning line as, yes, the favorite. Not a shock because the first 2 starts of the career were certainly good enough. Debut victory, and then off of that, they tried Stakes Company, and the 2 numbers fired in those first 2 starts have a real edge on this bunch. But the 2 subsequent starts have not been nearly as good. And one was off a long layoff, and now the horse has been off since October as well. And they come back for a 16 tag. Eesh, I couldn't leave the horse out of the mix off the first 2 starts, but again, if this horse goes down to even a shorter price than the morning line, there are a lot of questions that the horse would have to overcome. Blame It on Brutus in the third spot. Broke the maiden 2-back, tried this type of company last time and just was a complete dud. But I'm hoping with the race under the belt, the cutback from the mile to the 7 furlongs today, maybe a little more in this horse's wheelhouse, and all of that gets us back closer to what we saw 2 starts back with the maiden breaker, and if so, we're right there. I will say Million is one of those scenarios that we now see with the voided claims in the past performances that leave me kind of, voided claim and then a long layoff. That to me always raises red flags. But I will say, if you're looking at Million, and I have that one down the 4th spot, if you're looking, they come back and they're using the waiver, obviously, because there's no claim price on the PPs. So that to me is a little more of a positive, that there was the voided claim, and now they're coming back off a long layup, but they're not putting the horse up for sale. So I could make a little bit of a case for Million, despite the red flag that is flying on the scenario. But in the second at Aqueduct, 4, 3, 1, and 5.
Good claim. Not good. Good one in the third, though. It's an optional claimer, 3X, 80 to tag. 4-year-olds and up, 6 furlongs. We've got cost basis. We've got answer in, and we've got competitive spirit for our buddy Bonaventure Stables and Dan.
Yeah, always like to root for Bonaventure local owners. I just think Competitive Saint, who is a nice horse for Bonaventure, maybe a little bit better on the turf. But off the last race, I could make the case there. I just, as I say, I kind of feel maybe a little better on the turf. And in this field, I went 5, 2, and 4. I put cost basis on top. It's Chad, it's Klarovich, when last seen in November, a nice win, solid number, right on this Aqueduct strip, has a little bullet workout coming into this. Seems logical at a short price. Answer in the second spot. Close up morning line to the top pick, and that's understandable off the big number fired last time. That was the middle of December, claimed out of that. So class-wise goes in a little bit saltier than last time, but has faced similar going down the page, and I think will fit off the claimed away from Brad Cox, but moves into the Rob Falcone barn. And the Falcone barn going very well at this meet. So Answer In is interesting as well. And then stepping out of some stakes company is Smooth B. And on the move in for the claiming tag in this optional claimer maybe becomes interesting there, although I think overall probably has to step it up versus the top two. In the third for me, 5, 2, and 4.
Race number 4 kicks off the pick 6, $25,000 maiden claimers, 3-year-old fillies going 6. And Seth, I'll throw it to you and bid you a fond farewell. Wish you, everybody back home, good luck today on a great day of racing across the country, and we'll do it again next Saturday.
Sounds good. We'll see you next week. Have a great day at Gulfstream, and say hello to the other folks down there, especially Denny behind the camera. Looking forward to going down and catching up with him when we're down there as well.
And his son is getting married today, so he's been off since Thursday. So.
Oh, well, wish him congratulations for me next time you see him.
I will do that for you. Catch you soon.
All right, appreciate it. Fourth race at Aqueduct, top of the page, I have written, yeesh. This is a rough bunch, but I went 7, 8, 3, and 5. I put Oh My Bell on top. One start, it was a third place finish with a 22 buyer against similar company, but it's Danny Gargan, it's Kendrick Carmouche, and again, horse showed a little something, took some action as the 4 to 5 favorite. So I'll tilt in that direction, but this is a race you just cannot have a whole lot of confidence in any direction. Deanie's Destiny is a fresh face in here, goes out for Linda Rice off a string of workouts that don't really indicate a whole lot, but there's a little bit of breeding perhaps. And again, this is the kind of race where you can tilt for a fresh face, and the horse is not going to have to be much to beat this relatively weak field. And Half Birthday, in the third spot for me, has had 5 tries so far. And boy, I mean, the last race was kind of good enough to get in the conversation with this bunch, but the 2 races just before that, oof. And so what are you going to get? You don't know. This horse is completely inconsistent, and you're just kind of throwing a dart a little bit with this one. I will note, goes out for America's Pastime and Company, and they're locally based owners. We had them sit in with us up at Saratoga one morning this past summer, and so I always like to root for the locals, so we'll be rooting for that one. But as I say, boy, kind of inconsistent overall. Classic Vinman for Rick Schosberg, tossed in a real clunker against Made Specials up at Saratoga. This one is almost a fresh face on the scenario. So again, in a field like this, off this layoff, dropping in for the tag, not going to have to be much to get it done here. It's a rough way to kick off your pick 6 today down at Aqueduct. But for me, in the fourth, 7, 8, 3, and 5. Race number 5 at Aqueduct Saturday afternoon. State Bred Maiden Specials going 3/4 of a mile. I have a 3, 5, 6, and 2. Salsa Aparte on top by Into Mischief. There was a little bit of breeding here that was kind of interesting. Love Into Mischief is a sire of first out runners. Ray Handel can have them ready first out, but maybe more importantly, Ray Handel having a pretty good meet. So I thought, boy, at 12 to 1, this was another race where I think you can make a case for a fresh face. I mean, some of these runners on best efforts are okay, but this is kind of a mediocre overall field. So again, you don't have to be a superstar to get it done here in the debut effort. So I'll tilt towards Salsa Aparte at 12 to 1 on top. True Empress, 3 starts, and the first start was okay. The second start was actually pretty good, and then the third start, not so much so. It was a little bit of a 4th place finish, but the numbers went backwards. But adds the blinkers today, adds the Lasix today. I just thought off the first 2 starts, and the last one, again, the number went backwards, but it was an okay closing effort. There was enough there that 5 to 2 on the morning line. Yeah, this one's the favorite. It won't shock me at all if by post time this one takes the action off of, again, more of those first 2 starts. And with the change-ups and blinkers and Lasix, people may say maybe we can get back closer to those. I agree, that's a possibility. And Lady Velen, first-time starter by Central Banker. Central Banker, a good sire of New York breds. So there was a little bit of breeding here to think this one might have a little bit of ability early on. And again, A little bit of ability with this bunch might wind up being enough. In the 5th at Aqueduct, 3, 5, 6, and 2, all of which will bring us to our last break. We'll take that, we'll come back, and we will complete our look at Aqueduct for Saturday afternoon. Stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back. Seth Merrow in the studio taking a look at the Aqueduct action for Saturday afternoon, and we will continue with race number 6. Conditional claimers going 7. I mentioned it earlier, always like to root for the locals, and there are some local connections in here. Eddie F's Racing, our friends up at Saratoga, they have Litter Box in here. I couldn't pull the trigger on Litter Box. Wouldn't shock me if that one certainly got in the mix. But I went 3, 5, 2, and 7. I put another local connection on. The aforementioned Roddy Valente has Breaking Stones here. Not super confident on this one, but if you look at the numbers, Breaking Stones has fired at this current Aqueduct meet as compared to the most recent numbers from everybody else. Belongs in certainly in the conversation, probably at the top of the conversation. 2-1 on the morning line, and again, off those recent numbers, probably will take the action. Now that said, it was a 5th place finish, 2 back, a 3rd, and a 2nd. So, you know, they're pretty good numbers, but this is not a win machine by any means, but it does deserve to get the top nod slightly. 2nd spot, Majestic Tiger, claimed out of a similar event last time, ran 5th with a number that went backwards. The numbers just before were pretty good and broke the maiden 2 back against state-bred maiden claimers. And really, all the numbers prior to the last race were good enough to be right in the thick of things here and right up with the top pick. So it's just, what do you make of that? Did this horse just have a bad day? There was a little bit of trouble in that race. I'm going to kind of draw a line through it. I mean, it was the first time in against limited winners. Maybe we'll benefit from the experience there. I'm going to look to a rebound to what is more likely a number that is consistent with what we saw prior to the last start, because they were pretty consistent numbers. So Majestic Tiger underneath and Halpert in the 3rd spot. Gets a little class relief, 3rd start off the claim. Another one that last time tossed in a disappointing number as compared to most of the numbers on the page, which would be good enough. So like Majestic Tiger, I'm thinking a rebound is probably in the cards because that last number looks like a little bit of an aberration. In the 6th at Aqueduct, 3, 5, 2, and 7. Race number 7 at Aqueduct, state-bred claimers going 7 furlongs. I have at the 1 entry, 3, 6, and 7. The 1 entry, Dark Money and Bad Guy, both going out for Rudy Rodriguez, who owns all of Dark Money and part of Bad Guy. I think they're both, off their recent form, very, very playable in here. Dark Money was claimed 2 back for $12,500. They doubled the claiming price and won for $25,000 last time. Now they come right back at that level. This is one of those where I say, why not right back? They won in a really similar race last time. Why not right back again today? Bad Guy tried this company 2 back and was a pretty good third. Tried a little bit of a saltier group last time and had a number that was okay, but wound up 5th. That was also at a mile. So now gets back to maybe a more preferred distance and certainly a more preferred class level. So I think both halves of the entry are very live in here. The one entry on top, number 3, True Gold in the second spot, goes out for Charlie Baker. Off a little bit of a dud last time, but again, that was against a little bit of a saltier group. 2 back against this kind of runner was a good second. So I think the class move will be beneficial today for True Gold. And then Vintage Hollywood goes out for Orlando Noda off of a class drop that I think, again, will be beneficial for this one as well. They're really, I'm looking, there's nothing down the page. The bottom of the page had run at this level and ran an okay third. That was just about a year ago. Subsequently was in against tougher company all the way up the PPs. And so I think it's back to maybe also, like a couple others in here, a more proper class level this afternoon for Vintage Hollywood. In the 7th at Aqueduct, the one entry, 3, 6, and 7. Aqueduct in the 8th race, it is the Holly Hughes. These are 4-year-olds and up, state breds going 6 furlongs. I have it 2, 4, 5, and 1. What do you think now? 4 to 5 on the morning line. And boy, if this horse can go back-to-back with a couple races, watch out. That's going to be clearly the question mark, though. Ran a triple-digit 104 buyer last time, January 16th, to win by chart margin of over 10 lengths. And clearly a repeat of that makes what do you think now legit at that 4 to 5 morning line. But that 104 kind of stands out off the page. I just thought there was enough there with the other races that this horse can probably go back a few points and still have a little bit of an edge on this bunch. So what do you think now? If the horse does go back to back, clearly stands out, but I think the horse can come back a little bit and still have, as I say, a little bit of an edge on this group. My Boy Tate is clearly going to be the competition of what we've seen from this one. Won the Say Florida Sandy last time. Again, with a decent number. That if we don't get the triple from what do you think now, that one and My Boy Tate are kind of comparable on the numbers they tend to throw. So again, off the last, I gave a slight edge to what do you think now, but My Boy Tate is right in the mix. South Africa I put in the 3rd spot, 10 to 1 on the morning line. There are back numbers here that make this one a little bit interesting. The last few races probably don't stack up, certainly the top 2. But I thought, if we could get a rebound here, of course, it could be interesting at maybe a little bit of a price. In the 8th at Aqueduct, 2, 4, 5, and 1. Race number 9 at Aqueduct on Saturday afternoon. It's going to go off just a little after 5 o'clock this evening. State bred maiden claimers going 6.5. In the 9th, I have it 8, 2, 3, and 4. I put Phenomenal Woman on top. I'm going to look for this horse on the cutback in distance from the mile to 6.5 to be maybe getting back to what is a preferred trip, because the 6 furlong race, 3 starts back, and even the 7 furlong race, 2 back, are better than what we saw last time at the mile. So at the 6.5 today, I'm going to think Phenomenal Woman maybe is going to prefer the trip as opposed to what we saw last time with a little bit of a dud performance. Mondu in the second slot, the number 2 horse. Another one where I'm going to kind of draw a line through the last race, which was a dud. Now, that was off a layoff, so it's possible the horse has gone in the wrong direction. But I'm going to hope more benefits from that one, got some fitness from that one, and we get back to the front-running style we saw in many of the past performances underneath. Now, those were on the turf, and the last one was on the dirt. This one obviously is on the dirt, so it may just be the surface. I'm going to hope, though, that maybe this horse got some experience again on the dirt last time, got a little fitness off a layoff, and maybe on the dirt can show some of that early speed. That is a big question mark, though. But we're 8 to 1 on the morning line, and I think on the scenario, you will get some value there. Torrens Tail in the 3rd spot. Race 2 back was pretty good. It was a main special up at the Finger Lakes. The follow-up against this kind of company at Aqueduct, not so good. So again, this is kind of a Finger Lakes to Naira negative move. I love the venue move the other direction. Didn't pan out so much coming Finger Lakes down to New York, but I thought that race 2 back was enough. This is not a knockout field in here, so you're just kind of looking for a little something to hang your hat on. Sabrine is 9 to 5 on the morning line. Steve Asmussen runner that goes maiden special weight to maiden claiming. Does it off a couple of poor performances, and so going maiden special weight to maiden claiming off of those. I put the horse down at the bottom of my mix, but I wasn't, totally convinced. I wanted to jump in at a shortish price on that, 9-time loser so far. But it's one of those races again where you can't have a lot of confidence really in one direction or the other. But in the 9th and final for me at Aqueduct, 8, 2, 3, and 4. That brings us to the end of the Handicappers Report. A little look at Gulfstream, a little look at Aqueduct. Again, a reminder, if you didn't get a chance to write down those numbers, go to capitalotb.com, click on the handicapping link, then the Handicappers Report one sheet, and you can get a nice printable sheet with all of the selections right there to take with you if you're headed out to handicap and play, or sit next to your computer if you're sitting home this afternoon. But one way or the other, you can enjoy the races with that one sheet if you would like to get some thoughts during the day. I will be giving out some thoughts a couple hours down the line with OTB Live for a Saturday afternoon, so you can look forward to that as well. But in the meantime, we will be back in just a few minutes, top of the hour with Racing Across America. A great edition today, focusing a little bit on fairgrounds action. Ken McPeak will talk about Smile Happy, who is going to be in the Risen Star today down at the fairgrounds. Joe Christofek will go over a number of the stakes at the fairgrounds this afternoon. And a little bit later on, we'll be joined by Dave Rodman because they have a really nice stakes card at Laurel today as well. All of that at the top of the hour with Racing Across America. So we'll wrap it up, put a bow on Handicappers Report for this Saturday morning. Racing Across America up next. We'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.